Being the Parker Town Council for March 21st at 7:01 p.m. All council members are present. Would you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, thank you.
All right, rolling through our agenda here. Our first item up, we don't have any special presentations tonight, so our first item up is the Parker Area Chamber of Commerce.
Good evening, everyone. Happy first day of spring.
Yes.
A tropical, warm first day of spring in Colorado, as is the tradition. TJ Sullivan, President and CEO of the Parker Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for having me here. I don't have a very creative presentation tonight. I'm sorry to let you down. I know you count on me to bring really fun stuff, but man, we're just working too hard right now, and I'm a little tired. So, but I wanted to tell you a couple of new things. We are going to be hosting our second seminar as part of our Stronger Business series on May 5th. We had a successful first one in January, and on May 5th, we're going to be doing a seminar open to members and non-members on being a better boss in 2022. Right now, we're hearing a lot from our members that they feel a tension between needing to be a good boss who holds people accountable and has strong expectations, but everyone's afraid of losing employees. So there's this really weird spot in between there, and so we're going to sort of address that at this seminar on May 5th. So information is on the chamber site. If anybody is interested in that topic, we would welcome them to attend. We have also entered into a contract to publish a new map for Parker, a new fold-out map. Believe it or not, in these days, there's still people who like to unfold a big map on their dining room table and plot out where they're going or what they're going to do or where they're going to search neighborhoods if they're thinking of moving here. So we've had enough requests, and our last map, I believe, was done in something like 2015, 2016. So we have we've entered into a new contract with a company called Target Marketing, and we're going to be having a new map every 2 years for 6 years. So we'll have regular updates, and it'll be a nice resource for people who are considering Parker for various things. And finally, you can imagine how much of my time and the staff's time is being spent right now on Parker Days. We're excited June 10th through 12th that the festival's coming back. Our entertainment lineup will be announced publicly on Thursday. Very excited about that. The emphasis this year, I told the people doing the booking, the emphasis this year was on fun. I just want to have lots of fun. I want it to be just a lot of fun. And then I reminded them that I graduated high school in the 80s, so you can guess what Saturday night's theme will be on the main stage. Nice. So very excited about that. We have about half of our vendor booths are sold, so there's still some availability. If anybody wants to have a booth of some sort at Parker Days, they can also volunteer if they go to parkerdaysfestival.com. Up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a button that says Get Involved, and anybody can volunteer or find their appropriate way of being involved with the event. So we're very excited about that, and if anybody has any questions on that, I'm happy to answer. And finally, our permits are being turned in this week for Parker Days. We've already turned in all of our permit applications for this summer's wine walks, which will be the final Fridays of the months of May, June, July. What's after July? August and September, yes. I told you I was a little tired. So we have a lot going on this summer, and we're ramping up for that. That's pretty much what we're doing with these 12-hour days we're working right now. So anybody have any questions for me about Parker Days or anything else?
Council, we'll start with Councilmember Hefta.
TJ, just want to compliment you on, the Stronger Business series.
Thank
it's
you.
Wonderful, on how to become a better boss. Just a little tip here, we always use the sandwich method in the military, which is compliment, hard stuff, compliment.
Yes. My son in the Army tells me that is, he's getting very thin sandwiches right now.
Yes.
So.
On that, also, I really appreciate you doing a new fold-out map, because a lot of people, a lot of our senior generation still uses maps, and the fact that you've taken this request into consideration is really, really, really helpful, and you're listening to the needs of the residents of Parker.
Thank you.
So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
always appreciate your encouragement. Thank you very much.
Ian?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here, and I'm excited to see this map also. It's just really helpful when you're bringing new buyers around.
Yes.
So you can show, and I don't even know where all the new developments are, so it's helpful for me. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Councilman Dyak?
I was hanging on the music, and you mentioned fun. I went right to the group fun with the 2011 We Are Young.
Wow, you were hip. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I'm old
great.
as well.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah.
And my hips occasionally erratic. Yeah.
Awesome. Councilman Hendricks?
No questions, but thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Todd.
Councilman Pogue?
Yeah, so with your seminar coming up,
Yeah.
do you suppose they'll be addressing tips on keeping employees without raising wages?
I don't know. I don't know. Right. I think there's a lot of. I think a lot of that's based on the market right now. I mean,
It's tough.
We get regular updates from Arapahoe Douglas Works on what the current. It seems like the benchmark these days is what is Amazon paying right now, and it's a lot. And in fact, I thought it was interesting that they have been doing. They don't even do interviews anymore. You fill out an online form, and if you pass that and you show up for an orientation, you're hired, which is a real change in the way things happen.
Starting at 15 plus.
Well, I think Amazon's closer to 30 now. $30 an hour
Their
or more.
television ads
Don't quote me on that, but it's a lot. So everybody's trying to keep up with that. Yeah. So I don't know the wages. I don't know that we're going to get those under control anytime soon. So we'll see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, TJ, for the presentation. Hopefully the map will have a digital PDF or some
Oh, yeah,
link
absolutely.
that we can still use on our phones and,
Yeah.
and whatnot. So,
You wouldn't believe how many people walk into the chamber and ask for a map. It's the number one thing we're asked for. So
Really?
yeah. So I thought, well, I might as well figure out how to do one. So
there you
yeah.
go. Well done. Respond to the public.
Yes, sir. Trying.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. See you soon.
Have a good
See you
night.
at the next ribbon cutting.
Yes, sir.
Like next week, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next up is public comments. Madam Clerk, I've not received anyone in the room wishing to make a public comment. And with Zoom not working, so anyone watching can still email the town clerk's office.
We got one.
Wait a minute, you got one.
Well, for public comment? Yeah. Well, all right. I didn't see the sign up.
I signed up.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. I am here on a personal note this
All
evening.
right. Let me get my timer started. You caught me off guard there.
I know. My name is Jim Gilbert, and I live at 43001 London Drive, Parker, Colorado 80138.
Great. Go ahead, sir.
I am here this evening to share some information about an upcoming event. My mother, Vernette, was a longtime resident here in Parker from 1988. She moved into, with my dad, down into the Pinery and then over to Perdera, and then finally residing over at Morningstar. She's a lifelong artist, and when she passed away in 2020, we didn't have a chance to share her artwork with the community anymore. It was sitting in storage. And for the last 2 years, we've been hoping for an opportunity to do that. Recently, about a month ago, we held a art show at their church, Joy Lutheran, up here on the hill. And we invited the congregation, along with their friends and family, folks from the Rotary Club and the Elks Club, to come and view her artwork, and not only view it, but make a donation to the church and take some of her artwork home. Fortunately, we did a great deal for the church, and the donations that came in are helping their youth group go on a mission trip back to Minnesota this year. We still have some artwork left, and we want to share that with the rest of the town of Parker. And so I've worked with the Parker Artists Guild and have an opportunity starting this week, this Saturday, over at the schoolhouse for her artwork, the final pieces of her artwork to be displayed for a week, along with some of the prints that we still have. And I want to invite you, your family, friends, town employees, as well as the public to come and view her artwork. And if you find something that is of interest to you that you'd love to have hanging in your house or your business, make a donation to the Parker Art Guild and take that home with you. And for that, I want to thank you.
I love that. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. So again, the time and place is,
From March 22nd through April 2nd
Okay.
at the schoolhouse. The artwork will be on display probably starting around 11 o'clock on Saturday.
okay, excellent. We look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Sorry, just real quick, multiple
Josh.
mediums or oil or?
Oil, mostly, it was her drug of choice related to that. I think it did get in her veins sometimes, but she did a lot of landscape art. She did some of that weird art that you can't tell what it is, but you know it's something.
Yes.
So there was that as well.
Outstanding.
She did this growing up. My brother was a quadriplegic, and her relationship with him grew through art, and they found a true love doing that artwork together.
Outstanding. Thank you, Sarah and Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So there's no surprises. Anybody? I see Jared over there too. You want to come up? Okay. Anybody else wishing to make a public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to reports, items, and comments from mayor and council. So, council, I'm going to take a point of personal privilege here before you all get a chance to speak. And, I'd be remiss. Tonight is is a bit of an ending of an era for the town of Parker, and it's the last meeting with our town attorney in the top chair. I know you'll be around, but starting in 1988 as a young boy, coming to the town of Parker, having to sit in a dimly lit, broken down town hall, which much like today, you're in a dimly lit, broken down old town hall. But, Jim, you have provided guidance for all the mayors, all the council members over the last 35 years. And I can tell you as a mayor, I've appreciated it. You have gotten me through some spots that I didn't know how to get through. And you do it with professionalism, with grace, and with kindness. And I've just really appreciated that about you. And I'm sure our council members will want to speak to that as well. But Jim, thank you. On behalf of the citizens of Parker, you took us from a 5,000 population back in 1988, 89 to where we're at today, over 60,000. And, we don't get hauled into court because of you. We all act pretty good up here because of you. So again, personally and on behalf of the council and behalf of the town, thank you for your years of service. And now stay in your office because we're still going to need you. Okay. All right. All right. So with that, council, I'm going to go to my right and start with Councilman Rivero.
Thank you. Updates, correct? Or, yes.
All yours.
Sorry. First, personally to Jim, thank you. The mayor put it greatly. You keep us out of trouble, keep this town safe. I wish the citizens knew more of what you've done for them over the last 35 years. It's unheralded and absolutely amazing. You've made me a better representative, so thank you. I feel odd because I said this before my hiatus, and then now I'm back, and it's kind of weird. So everything I said then still counts. But thank you again, and truly appreciate it and all you've done. And I will do my best to shout from the rooftops to the citizens what you do for this town, because it's amazing. Updates, I really don't have much. It was spring break, and I was out of town and taking a little break with the family, and it was a wonderful week. So got some time off.
Councilor Pope.
Yeah, I would just like to thank Jim for all of his efforts. He tries to keep me in line. And so, but, been working with Jim off and on over the years, and he's the one person you could count on to have the heart of Parker. So thank you, Jim.
Councilman Hendricks.
No updates. As well, I was on spring break with my family in Arizona. But to Jim, thank you for all the advice you've given me over the years before I was up here, bugging you on questions and whatnot. But definitely we'll miss you, sort of. But sort of because you're still not gone fully. Ka-chow. Yeah. But you've done a lot for the town as well as everyone else has said. So just want to say thank you.
By the time we get down here, it may turn into a roast. I don't know. So, Councilman Dyak.
You stole my thunder. I mean, I spent a day and a half on jokes.
Keep going, keep
I
going.
hired Jeff Ross. He's coming in. But no, I mean, I've talked to Jim enough. He kind of knows how I feel, and working in the world of land use and with the town of Parker, you kind of get to know the town attorney, for better or for worse. I think our firm worked hand in hand with not only the staff, community development, but also the town attorney. The one thing that we used to do back in the day is if you knew somebody and you liked somebody, and that person vouched, if you will, for someone, it was good. And you got that many times over with Jim Maloney. It's somebody who does the business but doesn't want to upstage anyone, and he keeps his head low and keeps fighting the good fight. And to me, that's just what I've expected in working with the town of Parker and all the staff. So we have a very good team, a very good person in Ms. Hoffman coming on board, and it's going to be great. But it's very difficult to quantify what Jim is and was and has meant to the town of Parker, and we can talk around all that. The only other items I have in terms of update, I had an E470 board meeting. The finance department gave us a state patrol report. We're transitioning officers or head officers, but again, seamless transition. Engineering, we had a construction management contract let out for the road widening from I-70 to 104th. We also had some maintenance contracts for roadway, roadside, and guardrail. The operations department put before us the customer experience survey. They had a large number of respondents, and it seemed as though the E470 roadway authority, are doing a good job at maintaining as well as providing a good quality product for all. And we had a number of IT contracts, mainly dealing with our security and back office upgrades. Dr. Cog, we had a couple of items, and I sent a report, a summary report, to each of the council members. But Dr. Cog's staff has created a report which will summarize our agenda in addition to our legislative items, which we are currently monitoring. But the only one item of note is the TIP waitlist process. There are a couple of Douglas County projects that have been put on the wait list, Lone Tree, the I-25 and Lincoln interchange for some design money, and Castle Pines, the I-25 and Happy Canyon interchange, again for some design money. So that's good. Crossing our fingers for our friends here in Douglas County, but that is all, Mayor. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Councilmember Barrington.
Thank you. So as the newest council member, I know you the least, and I thought when I first came on to council that you were so serious. And I thought I was going to have a hard time with that, and I have been delighted to get to know you and that you have a great sense of humor. And I think working with this bunch, sometimes you have to have that. So thank you, and you will be missed for sure. And I really don't have anything to report either, because it was spring break, but I did get a lot of skiing in.
Awesome. Councilmember Hefta.
Yes, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I have worn green today to celebrate that. And also Mr. Maloney, having an Irish last name, I assume. My husband did make some corned beef and hash cabbage to celebrate that. So that was wonderful. I did do some residential outreach this past week and talked to 2 different groups of residents regarding traffic signals and speeding in local neighborhoods. And I sent that information to our police chief and Jim Gilbert and Tom Williams of our Public Works. And as for Jim, I knew I was working with a veteran attorney of outstanding quality when I came on town council. And there are a few Jim Maloneys out there in the world. I have practiced law 28 years, and without a doubt, Jim is in my top 1% of attorneys I've worked with and had the pleasure of knowing. He's really has provided outstanding ethics and strategic input to the town for many, many years, and just expert in being a legal counsel. And there's so much to that. It's not only the legal decisions, but it's the strategy that Jim has provided and the input over the years as well. So Jim is not going to be gone completely, thankfully, and we can still talk to Jim and Kristen, of course. We're very happy to have Kristen on board as our new legal counsel. So Jim's not leaving quite yet, so we still get a chance to talk to him a little bit. So thank you again, Jim, for all your hard work.
Any words from you?
Uh-oh. It's on legal paper, too.
How come there's a fog machine going and the disco ball's coming down and the lights are dimming?
Thank you for all those kind words. I can't tell you what a pleasure it's been to be here for 34 years. You're not there yet. I don't want to prejudge this because you know how we've talked about prejudgment. But I want to applaud town council on the decision you are about to make to hire Kristen Hoffman as your new town attorney. I have great comfort in knowing that Kristen will be at the helm, and I also have great comfort in knowing that you do have a superb legal team in place. And I thank you for allowing me to build that team over the past few years, because just look at me. I mean, you knew this was coming, right? And I got to tell you, I feel blessed to have represented Parker for these 34 years. And when I look back, I've actually touched on 5 decades from 1988 through 2022. And it's been a great ride. I mean, if I had my ability to choose my career direction back then, I couldn't have done any better. And I made a very dramatic decision in 2002 to go from being a partner in a law firm downtown to coming here in-house. And I got to tell you, it's the this is just make-believe. It was the best decision I ever made. It's been a great run here in Town Hall, 20 years, a great organization. Been blessed with a wonderful town council. This is one of the best, and I've told you that. I'm not shining you on, but in terms of how you conduct public hearings and how you conduct yourself, how you apply the criteria, you got it going. And so I hope you keep it going that way. But again, thank you, and thank you for all the kind comments. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim.
Favorite part.
That was really for keeping the speech short, so thanks, Jim.
I just
All
want
right.
some pictures from Alaska.
All right, council, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and one vote. There will be no separate discussions on the consent agenda item unless council votes to remove an item for an individual discussion. Ordinances on the consent agenda are for introduction only and will not be removed for discussion. So, council, you have items 6A through 6D for
Mr.
your
Mayor,
consideration.
Mr. Mayor, if you could, I would make a motion to remove item 6B for discussion, please.
Okay, 6B. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved by Councilman Rivero, seconded by Councilmember Hendricks to remove item 6B from the consent calendar. This will be a roll call. Josh?
All right.
Cheryl?
No.
No. Okay. Todd?
Yes.
John?
Sure.
Ann?
Sure.
And Laura?
Well, I would say no.
Okay, so no. So that motion passes. So council, before you, I need a motion for consent items 6A, C, and D.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve consent agenda items 6A, C, and D, please.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Councilman Rivero, seconded by Councilmember Hendricks. This will be a roll call. Rivero?
All right.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
All right. And then a motion or any comment on consent agenda item number B, 6B.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Weaver?
If you don't mind, I just want to make comment. The other part of this evening is the hiring. This motion is to hire Kristen Hoffman as our town attorney and to step into some very big shoes. And in my opinion, she will do that amazingly. I've had the opportunity to work with her the last, I don't know, few years and started to come into her office instead of bugging Jim all the time. And I truly appreciate her counsel. I just wanted to take this opportunity to take it off consent agenda and take this opportunity for the public and for us here to welcome Kristen aboard. It's a big decision of this council to hire the town attorney, as we've heard how important that position is from Jim's outgoing. I think it's very important to welcome Kristen's incoming and welcome aboard. I'm very excited to have you. The whole team is amazing, from Kristen to Jamie, to Cindy, to Sharon, to Kelsey, to whomever the other is to be named later, and then to the wizard sitting behind. I had to. I'm sorry, I had to. Sitting behind the curtain. I'm sorry, but I welcome aboard. I'm very, very happy to be making this vote tonight.
Councilmember Pogue, would you like to save Councilman Rivero from?
Well, if I'd known what you were up to, obviously we
I'm
don't
sorry.
communicate.
I forgot.
I would probably voted yes on the other, but I think, we're looking forward to seeing how things go.
Yep, we're good. Councilman Hendricks?
Yes, I look forward to working with you as well, and we're lucky to have you. And big shoes to fill, but I know you'll do very well.
Great. Councilmember Dyak?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, throughout the years, even before she was employed by the town of Parker, I got introduced to her, I think on a Breckenridge roadway, if I'm not mistaken, by someone you're now married to. And, again, nothing but glowing words were given to me by your service in the various municipalities that you worked in. And, the one theme was always, that entity, I think it was Lone Tree, was lucky to have you. So, and I concur. I think, we're going to challenge you. You're going to have an impossible task of keeping us in line. I think you'll endeavor to do that, and we'll comply. And just looking forward to the future. Thank you.
Councilmember Barrington?
Just going to say, welcome aboard. You've been here, but just we're lucky to have you. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Hefta?
Kristen, we know you're very experienced and talented legal counsel, and we're very happy to have you on board. You are phenomenally pragmatic, practical, and strategic, and we know that you will do a fantastic job of helping us and guiding us on town council. Thank you.
Great. And just to add to it, Councilmember Barrington and I had the opportunity to sit with you during your interview. It was a very crowded field. You came through it amazingly. But I think one of the things that Councilmember Barrington pointed out was we are going to have an Ivy League educated attorney running the town in the law department. And that is something. That's an amazing thing. And I appreciate you taking on the seven of us. You know who the mayor is, right? And you're willing to. But no, seriously, we are in such good hands. And Jim, for your training and mentoring of her, thank you so much. But our moments with you in the interviewing process and the negotiating, you're fantastic. And we look forward to you stepping up and stepping in and really keeping us safe and sound and going on the right path. So welcome to the first seat. We appreciate you Appreciate you. And with that, I will entertain a motion on item 6B.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 22-015, please.
I'll second.
And that was motion by Councilman Rivera, seconded by Councilmember Pogue. Rivera?
Aye.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yep.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
No turning back now. All right. All right, council, let's get on to business. Our next item up is public hearing. Council, the ordinance number 1.553.1 on second reading. There's been a request to move that to a date certain of April 4th, 2022.
So moved.
I'll second.
Dyak, and then Ann? Okay. Motion was made by Councilman Dyak, seconded by Councilmember Barrington to move that to a date certain of April 4th of 2022. Rivera?
Aye.
Cheryl?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. All right, moving on to ordinance. Our first ordinance, number 8A, ordinance number 9.286.3 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the Third Amendment to an intergovernmental agreement between the Town of Parker and the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Douglas, State of Colorado, regarding cost sharing for the Draensfeld Road extension. Mr. Hudson. I don't think your mic is on.
You're correct, and Chris told me reminded me, and I forgot, so. Tonight in front of you have an IGA. It's the Third Amendment with Douglas County regarding the Draensfeld extension over Cherry Creek. We've been talking about the Draensfeld extension for almost as long as Jim's been here. It first came up almost 20 years ago. It was the first time I was exposed to it. As part of a traffic model update back in 2001. It's an important roadway for the town, the Parker areas, not just Parker, but the Parker area's long-term roadways transportation plan. A portion of it's located in unincorporated Douglas County, so Douglas County's support is needed to the anticipated floodplain impacts. Next slide is a vicinity map, and this was in the original IGA back in 2019. But it shows the extension of the Draensfeld south of 20 Mile across Cherry Creek through the Flat Acres property over to the Salisbury North property, and also some improvements to Motzenbacher Road from adjacent to the Salisbury Park, Salisbury Heights neighborhood up to the Todd Drive intersection. Next slide, please. The original IGA was approved back in June of 2019. Before 2019 got done, we actually did an amendment in November of that year. That started the initial design effort back then. The Second Amendment was approved in March of 2021. The Second Amendment, big milestone for that is the conditional letter of map revision, what we call CLOMR. We are actually planning to submit that within the next 30 days. It's a huge milestone. There's multiple federal permits that's going to be required for this project. This is probably one of the most important ones of it. As this next phase, which is the final design effort, both the town and Douglas County have appropriated $500,000 for a total of $1 million for this next design effort. And you may ask yourself, that seems like a lot of money, but this is a very expensive project, probably approaching anywhere from $18 to $20 million when we get this thing out for bid in a year. Construction is anticipated for the second half of '23, and a new IGA, maybe a Fourth Amendment will be required when we get to that phase with Douglas County. Douglas County is talking about, let's start the field new, because this was previously just a design IGA, and we're talking about a construction IGA. Next slide, please. So when the ordinance is required to approve this IGA amendment, this is scheduled for the Board of County Commissioners on April 12th. With that, I'll answer any questions you might have. John, you look like you're poised and ready.
All right, councils for questions for Chris. We'll start with Councilman Dyak.
No, I don't have any questions. I mean, I think comment. This is a project. Okay, that's right.
Thank you, Ann.
I'm sorry. No questions.
All right, Councilmember Barrington.
Good job, Ricky.
I get excited. Transportation happens.
So what do you envision this is going to do for just traffic on Parker Road?
The former mayor used to call me Straight Road Chris. I love grids of roads. This is another connection over Cherry Creek, and that's one of the problems we have in Parker. We have a lack of north-south and east-west connectivity in this town, which puts a lot of pressure on the roads that do go through. So the Draensfeld extension will provide some redundancy to Parker Road, so people have choices, so they don't have to take Parker Road to get around the community. By providing those redundancies, you're going to reduce the traffic on Parker Road. Will the traffic on Parker Road all of a sudden just magically go away? No, but it's going to be a big support to a lot of the development that's going to happen in the southwest quadrant of the town that isn't there yet.
And I know it's not time for comment, but that's what we want to hear.
Councilmember Hefta.
Thank you, Chris. There's been a lot of concern about the speeding on Mostenbacher Road through that area, and that's exactly where the extension is going as well. Do you anticipate some of that speeding to slow down around that curve? Could you talk to that a little bit?
Well, so the curves that we're going to be building, earlier in the presentation, you saw a graph with some curves that are going to be added to the road. They're designed for a 35-mile-an-hour road. Currently today, you have a very straight road that has a very sharp turn to it. This project will be smoothing that curve out from a safety standpoint. This is the one by today's nursery to the north, but also the curves leading up to it should also create some calming effect, you could say, as opposed to just a straight road. Do I think it's going to fix all the speeding problems? No. That's just something that's going to have to be done with enforcement, and we can do some through the engineering of the road, but it's a combination of engineering and enforcement to make to have compliance with speeders.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay. Councilman Hendricks.
No questions.
Councilmember Pogue.
Yeah, just one question. Yeah, I know this is involving an agreement with Douglas County. Do you feel that at some point in time, they're just going to turn that whole road once it's done over to the town for maintenance, or is that planned?
So the overall intent is the donut hole that's there today is actually going to be annexed into the town, we hope this year. So therefore, this is all going to be in the town. So while it hasn't been talked about specifically in writing yet, to answer your question, Cheryl, it's going to be the town's responsibility to maintain this road when we're done.
Well, I anticipated that, but I didn't know that, this particular annexation was actually being looked at, so.
So the property owner there has been talking with our community development department, and I don't know if Mike's here tonight or not, but they are planning on annexing
That
this
section
year.
of Mike Smith's property?
Mike Smith's
Okay.
property, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Councilman Rivero.
Thank you, Chris. Just in your expert opinion, as far as the Clomer and the FEMA work and the core work, you expect that to be a timely return, or are we looking at backlogs right now, or what do you think?
The best I've ever had at Clomer turnaround was 6 months. Josh, we've got a good consulting team on this one. The longest I've had it take is 1.5 years.
Okay.
I do know that the feds did approve some temporary spending to at least get us through September before if they have another shutdown again. That would be very problematic to this, but I'm optimistic that we'll have this in the next 9 months.
Outstanding.
Josh.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Excellent. All right, with that, we're going to open it up for public comment. Anybody in the room wishing to make public comment on this item? Nope, and we have nobody on Zoom, so we'll close that at 7:40. Council, now's your chance to make comments, and I'll start with the very patient Councilman John Dyack.
I have a question. No, I'm kidding. I don't have a question. No, I mean, this is a road that, again, I'm redundant. When I got on council, this was one of those roads that we can never in a million years afford. I mean, there was just no money that we can envision or project as to how to do this. And to me, it gets done, and it gets done with hard work, perseverance at all levels. You have county commissioners throughout the years who were willing to listen and then get on board. And so we honestly could not have gotten here without them and those who sat in their seats before them. So it's a great milestone that we have now. To have all the federal approvals would be great, and to sit here for another amendment or a new IGA for construction money coming from Douglas County, I think, is our last milestone. So looking forward to all those and creating this, again, parallel route to Parker Road. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Barrington?
No questions, thank you.
Okay.
No comments, thank
Okay.
you.
Councilmember Hefta?
Thank you, Chris, and your team for all your hard work on this project. Thank you.
Councilman Hendricks?
I believe this project will be looked upon as one of the more important ones to come to Parker, and I know it's been a long time coming, but I'm excited to see it develop and finish. And so thank you and everyone on your team and for this. It's going to be huge.
Great. Councilmember Pogue?
Yeah, outside of thanking you and the staff, I think we owe Douglas County a thank you. And, they're coming forth with support and some financial support, which is great. I personally don't see this as a real big divergence of traffic on Parker Road to Matzenbacher. I think by then we'll have other north-south roads that will be handling a lot of that. But it's a step in the future that we need, so thank you.
Councilman Rivero?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this one's been on the radar for the last decade, and it's just, or longer, obviously, but it's been a lot of work, and I must, much to his chagrin, unlike Jim over there, I must give credit where credit due. This is a lot of work on Councilman Dyack. He's been after this and talking to people for the last 10 years, and this is the culmination of that work, and it's, again, credit is, and I echo what Cheryl said, Douglas County came to play and looked up to the northeast corner of the county and said, you absolutely do need this. This is a great addition to your network. This is an economic driver, this road, as the mayor has stated previously. Getting those folks that live down in the southeast corner and easier access to their shopping is huge. We keep them in the town, and they don't have to get onto Parker Road just to buy groceries or kids' clothes. So this is a much-needed road. A lot of work by staff, by the county, by legal, and by Councilman Dyack. So I'm glad to see us getting closer and closer by the day.
Excellent. With that, I will entertain a motion on this ordinance. Hold on. He's looking for it.
It's yours to make, John.
You want me to go for it?
I move to approve ordinance number 9.286.3 on second reading.
I'll second that.
The motion is made by Councilman Dyack, seconded by Councilmember Pogue. Rivero?
Aye.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyack?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Next up, ordinance number 9.346 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the town of Parker and the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Douglas, State of Colorado regarding ownership, maintenance, and operations of traffic signals at and near shared jurisdictional boundaries.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Okay. So the town implemented responsive traffic signal control on Parker Road in 2020. And what responsive traffic signal control is, utilizes infrastructure. We have counting stations on Parker Road to actively count the amount of traffic and respond by changing traffic signal timing plans to better match traffic patterns. Due to COVID, we have seen some rapid changes in historical traffic patterns, and this system has allowed traffic signal timing to respond to these changes. And we're moving forward with implementing responsive traffic signal control on other town arterial roadways in 2022. And one of these arterial roadways that we want to talk about a little bit tonight is Lincoln Avenue and the reason for this proposed intergovernmental agreement. Next slide, please. For responsive traffic signal systems to work efficiently, timing plans for corridors must be synchronized and work together. For example, all 13 of the traffic signals on Parker Road work together as a corridor. Lincoln Avenue between Jordan Road and Parker Road is a town arterial corridor that we're going to implement responsive. We hope to implement responsive signal timing on 2022. What we've run into, the Lincoln and Keystone traffic light, is about a quarter mile to the west of Lincoln and Jordan, and it's important that these two signals be synchronized. You could imagine if traffic gets released from Lincoln and Jordan and it hits a red light at Keystone, wouldn't look very good. That responsive traffic signal system changing timing patterns, that distance is very problematic. Since Lincoln and Jordan is maintained by the town and Lincoln and Keystone is Douglas County maintained, that's some more information on this IGA tonight. Next slide, please. This is a map of the Lincoln Avenue corridor. The yellow squares are town traffic signals. There's a big gap in the middle. That's Cherry Creek, and Newland Gulch sits in there as well. And the blue light, or the blue square, is the Keystone light. Next slide is actually a blow-up of the Lincoln Keystone, Lincoln Jordan intersection. It's a quarter mile separation, and the town is annexed up to the east side of that intersection. So the town has one of four legs at the Lincoln Keystone intersection, but the intersection itself is in unincorporated Douglas County. Next slide, please. So we started dialogue with Douglas County over a year ago about our desire to implement responsive traffic signal control on Lincoln Avenue. They saw the results of the Parker Road implementation. They were generally supportive of it. They understand we have to synchronize these lights because of the proximity. The challenge we ran into was Douglas County and the town used different signal timing systems. So we worked for a year trying to figure out a way to implement theirs into us or ours into theirs, and finally came back and said, guess what? We think the best approach is the town would assume the maintenance of the Lincoln Keystone light. When I say maintenance of it, we would assume the operation and maintenance of that light. Douglas County will still own the traffic signal at Lincoln and Keystone. And this is similar to what we've done with CDOT for 15 years on Parker Road, where we have been maintaining and operating the traffic signal lights. It took a lot of discussion with Douglas County. They have a lot of pride in what they do to get them to potentially have us run one of their traffic lights. We finally got there. And this is the first traffic signal that they've done where they've given up control, which is in government, giving up control is very difficult for entities to do. So next slide, please. So again, Douglas County will still own the light and will be responsible for catastrophic repairs. And you may ask yourself whether the catastrophic repair would be a signal pole that gets hit, has to be replaced, easily $50,000. A signal controller cabinet, the materials alone are $15,000, not including repair parts or time to repair it. They're also going to continue to be responsible for utility costs. We, the town, will be responsible for routine maintenance and timing. And an example of routine maintenance is a burnt-out traffic signal face. Hey, that green LED is out in lane number 2 going westbound. That's something we'll take care of. We have to make a capital investment to connect it to our system. Basically, we have to get communication run down to this signal. It's about 10K. And we use the CDOT IGA as a basis of a starting point. $320 per month per signal was agreed to for the Douglas County IGA. For consistency, it's the same as CDOT's IGA. And this IGA, we had a lot of discussion about expanding it. Douglas County wants to see how we do, because there was talk about maybe putting the Stonegate light on the responsive signal or the Lincoln Chambers light on the responsive system. There's also a couple other signals that are out there that are going to be built in the next year. There's a couple signals on Pine Drive, Ponderosa, Pine Drive, Pine Lane. The county maybe wants to talk to us about maintaining those lights for them because they're kind of orphan signals. They're far away from the rest of their system. And with that, next slide, please. An IGA is required to approve this IGA. Similar to the last one, the boards of county commissioners are going to review this IGA at their April 12th meeting. And I'll answer any questions you might have about this.
Excellent. Thanks, sir. We're going to start to my left. Councilmember Hefta.
No questions.
Great. Councilmember Barrington.
No questions, thank you.
Councilman Dyak.
No questions.
Councilman Hendricks.
No questions.
Councilmember Pogue.
No question.
Clean sweep. Councilmember Rivero.
So thank you. Just real quick, I remember earlier on sitting up here, we took over, or we had maintenance of the CDOT lights, and specifically those square things that they ran near 470, and they deteriorated with the salt, and they weren't a match to our system, and they were kind of expensive, and everything like these. Are these lights that we're possibly taking over this intersection and then futures, are they close to what we're using currently and would be? Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so you're talking about the modular traffic
Yes,
signals that were
modular,
at
that was- yes.
E470 from years ago. We've done an initial assessment of what's out there. Douglas County does a really good job of maintaining their system. We use a lot of the same stuff that Douglas County does. They use a different controller than we do, but it's a simple, I'm going to say this, rip it out and slide in the new one in the rack in the computer that's out there. So we have a lot of compatibility. It's a lot of the same stuff that we do between the two of us. We just have some differences, and they're minor in the big scheme of things.
Thank you.
Excellent. With that, I'm going to open up for public comment at 7:53. Anyone in the room wishing to make one? And we don't have anybody on Zoom, so we'll close it at 7:53, and council will come back in that same order for any comments or deliberation. Councilmember Hefta?
No questions. This is a very technical matter, and thank you for your expertise in figuring this out with your team, Chris. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Barrington?
I think this is great that there's some cooperation going on here because so many people just don't even realize that Stonegate is Douglas County or is unincorporated. So having two systems that don't talk to each other is a problem. So thank you for working this out, and I'm sure everybody will be happy that those lights are timed.
Excellent. Councilman Dyak?
Yeah, this is just a result of partnerships. When the town had the initial responsive system that they tested, allowed us, and the successful results we got from that allowed us to go to Dr. Cog to get funding to expand that. And we got funding from Dr. Cog in order to do things like this. So again, using other people's money to improve Parker and their travels within Parker or close by, to me is a positive. And working with Douglas County, the town of Parker and Douglas County staff work very well together. I've observed that over the years. And, it's just the ability for us to partner with Douglas County to create solutions for the betterment of our collective citizens with a more efficient traffic flow, I think it would be a benefit to all. Thank you.
Councilman Hendricks?
No comments.
Councilmember Polk?
No comments.
Councilman Rivero?
No, well done. I look forward to this being a successful trial, and we'll get some other lights into our system that border our town. So well done on the negotiations, and I look forward to seeing the outcome of this.
All right, council, I will entertain a motion on ordinance number 9.346.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.346 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilmember Hendricks, seconded by Councilmember Hefta. Rivero?
Aye.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. All right, thank you, Chris. Next up is ordinance number 9.347 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to approve the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund Award Terms and Conditions. Mr. Maloney, one more visit.
No, I get 2 more visits.
Oh, okay.
So in your packet for consideration by Town Council is an agreement, and it's called U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund Award Terms and Conditions. And this agreement arises out of an act that was passed about a year ago, on March 1st, 2021, and the act was called the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. And under the act, the town was allocated $4.4 million. However, the challenge that we faced over the past year was, one, understanding the law, understanding the regulations, understanding how the money could be used, and this was a moving target for the past year because you can only use the money for an eligible project. And Rhonda will tell you that she's been in contact with Treasury, and we are apparently the last municipality in the entire country to consider this agreement. And it's not because we weren't diligent. I can tell you that finance and my department, administration, public works, spent countless hours trying to understand the law, trying to understand the regulations, trying to figure out what the federal government was doing in terms of getting direction to us. And so ultimately, I think our wait paid off because on January of this year, towards the end of the month, the Department of Treasury issued its final rule, which brought a lot of clarity concerning what we could do. Because as you recall, we were looking at different types of eligible projects. And with the Treasurer rule, which goes into effect on April 1st, that's a funny date for this. But in any case, it allowed for the first time what was called a standard allowance. And if it qualified as a standard allowance, then you could use the money for any type of government service as defined under the final rule. Well, that miraculously included roads, because I think that was always the desire to do some sort of infrastructure. And now the rule finally came out and said you can do roads. Well, related to Chris's earlier item, the Draensfeld Extension Town Council has selected that as the project to be eligible for this $4.4 million. However, in order for us to take advantage of the $4.4 million, you have to approve the agreement that's in your packet this evening. So Rhonda, Mary Lou, I don't know if there's anything you want to add. Finance has done yeoman's work on this, and I really thank them for the help that they've provided to our department. But this has been an onerous task, and anytime you accept federal money, there's going to be a lot more work, just so you know. Any questions, Mayor, Council?
We'll start to my right. Councilmember Hendricks.
No questions.
Councilmember Pogue?
Yeah, I think so. Because accepting federal money usually means you're accepting strings and associated requirements. What did we give up to take this money?
Well, there are strings. This council essentially set the standard on strings that are not acceptable, and you did that with the Community Block Grant Program because of the strings that were attached to that one. This type of a grant does not have the same strings. It does have strings, but it has strings that are comparable to other federal grants that the town has accepted. So if you can't be right, my motto is at least be consistent, and we have accepted other grants with similar strings attached.
So, in other words, this nice delay we had some clarification on the strings that they were going to be making us assume?
Well, I think the strings were always pretty clear. The question for us was, what was an eligible project? And what was an eligible project that the town really wanted? And we had looked at some things that would have been beneficial, but not as beneficial as the ability to use the money for the Draensfeld Road extension, to use it for infrastructure, which I think was our desire, but the rules were not letting us get there until the final rule came out in January.
Well, thank you for your due diligence.
Sure.
Councilman Rivero?
No question.
Councilmember Dak?
No questions.
Councilmember Barrington?
No questions.
Councilmember Hefta?
No questions.
All
Thanks
right,
for your
then-
work, Jim.
We will open this up for public comment at 8:01. Anyone in the audience wishing to make public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 8:01, and we'll go back same way with any comments or debate. Councilmember Hendricks.
No comments?
Councilmember Pogue?
No comments.
Councilmember Rivera?
Yeah, I think that this is a perfect example. And nothing makes me prouder than we're the last ones in the federal system to accept this money, and rightfully so, because we got to use it for something that was incredibly needed in our community, and others maybe didn't because they were hasty. And I believe the thanks goes to our legal team and to our financial team. Incredibly well done, and for that, we got a $4 million gift to use where we need it the most, and again, to staff, insanely good job, and to this council for your huevos to stand up to the federal government. Well done.
Councilmember Dyak?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, to kind of go back a bit, I think the ability for the town of Parker and Douglas County specifically to be resilient in a time of extreme uncertainty in the COVID era allowed Parker and the county to fare well, meaning that we didn't have an extreme need for this $4 million to maintain operations due to our fiscal conservancy, our long-term projections and plans to arrive at being on sound financial terms, so to speak. So, I mean, with that, it created this opportunity where we could use this ARPA money to wait out and define what the criteria is to our benefit. With construction costs continuing to increase, and with delays in the project, delays or just the ability to create this project and get all of the items in alignment so we can do final design and construction. The costs continually go up, and we arrived at a gap, and this is, as Councilmember Rivera indicated, was some needed monies to shore up this project so we can continue the fight and put this project out to bid pending all of the federal government approvals and pending the county commissioner approvals, so we can truly create this parallel route to Parker. So I am in support of this. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Barrington?
I think Councilmember Rivera and Dyak said it all. Thank you.
Councilmember Hefta?
Well, yeah, and just to clarify a little bit, whenever you do take money from the federal government has authority to impose conditions on the acceptance of those funds. And that is actually stated in the spending clause of Article 1 of Section 8 of Clause 1 of the U.S. Constitution. And so the conditions on which this money is granted are all based on federal law as well. And an example might be compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, for one. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. And just to echo what Councilman Rivera said, this council should be very proud of your patience and your diligence and watching for those strings, deciding what strings were and were not acceptable. The strings that came with the block grant of affirmatively furthering fair housing were unacceptable, I think, to everyone up here, and I appreciate it. And, I'm thankful that, we're going to use the taxpayer dollars coming back to Parker in a very effective way, and I think it's going to be an excellent project. So with that, I will entertain a motion on ordinance number 9.347.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.347 on second reading.
Second.
Motion is made by Councilmember Barrington, seconded by Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Last ordinance on the night, ordinance number 4.91.8 on second reading. A bill for an ordinance to amend section 11.02.050 of the Parker Municipal Code concerning amendments to the Parker Residential Code for 1 and 2 family dwelling building code related to secondary family space.
So my last act, the town attorney for Parker is secondary family space.
Stoves and basements.
So by way of background, in 2014, the town council passed an ordinance allowing cooking facilities in separate locations of a single-family detached home without constructing the firewall required by the building code. And then, of course, subject to several conditions that were contained in the 2014 ordinance. So the purpose of the ordinance that is the subject of the agenda item tonight is to amend the 2014 ordinance to clarify that the secondary family space that would contain the secondary cooking facilities must be located in the basement. The amendment also clarifies that the secondary family space cannot be larger than 40% of the main dwelling unit, including the basement, based on the original square footage of the dwelling when initially constructed. So those are the two pieces. It has to be in the basement and is based upon square footage that existed at the time the house was originally constructed. So that's based upon direction that was provided by town council. John, is there anything you would like to add to this final moment? Are you sure?
I think you've said it all.
Thanks, John. Any questions, Mayor, Council?
Well, I think it's important to note that, in your basement office, you don't have a cooking unit, but it's a nice fireplace that you have over there that we
Thank
saw
you.
today. So,
Thank you.
Councilman Dyak,
No questions.
Councilman Barrington,
No questions.
Councilmember Hefta,
No questions.
Councilman Rivero,
No questions.
Councilmember Pogue,
No questions.
Councilman Hendricks.
No questions.
Okay, with that, I'll open it up for public comment at 8:08. I thought Cleveland Homes was standing up to provide, no basements? All right. All right, we'll close it at 8:08, and council will bring it back for any comment and debate. Councilmember Hefta?
None, thank you.
Great. Councilmember Barrington?
I know that this went back and forth in 2014, and there was some definite discussion on this, and I think we came to a good place. So, thank you.
Councilman Dyak?
Yeah, no, I mean, to me, this is one of those things that, I think the genesis of this was to provide a family unit specifically, or potentially a multi-generational family unit, the ability to grow and be together, whether it's an aging parent or whether it's a teen that needs to be close to home and have an independent living space. So it was a simple thought that really got talked about for a lot of hours back in the day and here currently the past couple of weeks. So thankful for the clarification and getting back to the original intent. It's just a stove in a basement.
Councilman Hendricks?
No comments.
Councilmember Pogue?
No comment.
Councilman Rivero?
Yeah, I appreciate what Councilman Dyak said. It simply was, it was a lot of discussion back in 14 and again, most recently. But it simply was the true intent of the law was a stove in the basement for a secondary family unit. And I believe with the clarity, hopefully, that we'll pass today, we will get that in the books.
Excellent. With that, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 4.91.8.
I move to approve number 4.91.8 on second reading.
Second.
Dyak? Motion is made by Councilmember Barrington, seconded by Councilman Dyak. Rivero?
Aye.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0. Last up, a motion to adjourn with no other business before the Parker Town Council.
So moved.
Second.
Rivero?
Aye.
Pogue?
Aye.
Hendricks?
Yes.
Dyak?
Yes.
Barrington?
Yes.
Hefta?
Yes.
And we are adjourned at 8:11.